Hello and welcome to another episode of Get to Know UIC, Get to Know United in Christ. Today I am ecstatic to be joined by Jen and John. Jen and John, welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for taking the time to come and hang out with us. This is going to be very cool.
Sure.
So, guys, for folks who maybe have lost track or still connecting with the community and getting to know folks, how long has it been for the two of you that you've been worshiping at United in Christ?
2011, I believe.
About 2011.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Okay. So that's just about 10 years, just under 10 years.
Yeah, Dylan was about 2 years old.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. So Dylan was already born by the time you made it to the congregation.
Yes.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So
he
what brought you there
was
in the first?
baptized there, though.
Oh, he was baptized there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So what brought you to United in Christ, 9 years ago at this point? What was it that brought you there in the first place?
Dylan.
No,
Well,
we started now.
I grew up at church, and
Okay.
as you know, with Joe Linkenfelder was my pastor.
That's very funny.
Kid,
Yeah.
and then kind of fell off there for about 20 years. And once we had Dylan, we wanted him to grow up into the church,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just like I did.
That's very cool. That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
And that's a very cool piece of history that we got to share a few months ago at this point, that we kind of did that cross comparison. Because I say this because I get asked this all the time. Am I related to Joe? Right. So there is a pastor, Joe Lingenfelter, who had served in Mifflinburg, right, for the vast majority of his career, and then served briefly over in Sunbury, and he was a UCC pastor. And in my first week at United in Christ, Joe came and just stopped by the church one day to introduce himself and to with the family tree in hand pointed out where it was we were connected along the way. I think it turns out he's like my grandpa's second cousin or something like that, right? It's a small world, and Lingenfelters aren't that common, so that was a very cool connection to have made.
Yeah. Neat.
That's very cool. Sorry, go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we got married in Mifflinburg.
Okay.
At UCC.
Yeah.
We got married there, but then we moved to New Columbia, and we really wanted, we didn't really go to church a whole lot because there had just been some changes at the church and so forth. So we decided that we wanted to find a new church.
Yeah.
And we had heard wonderful things, about St. John's.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we had heard wonderful things about it, and we decided, to just kind of try it out, and, we just loved it.
Well, we went to quite a few.
Well,
churches.
we did. Yeah, we went to some other church. Yeah, we did visit some other churches. But when we came there, we just knew
that's so cool.
That's where we wanted to stay.
That's so cool. And every time, I know I keep hearing it over and over again, but every time I hear somebody else say it, it just warms my heart so much. Right? We just heard it from Jack and Cheryl yesterday, that when they'd done some church visiting as well, they had gone around to a couple of different places, but when they landed at United in Christ, they just knew, right? And they just stuck. So what was it about the community? How did you know that this was the place for you when you arrived?
Well, it's rural and it's small, not huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that way you can get to know people. You know everybody in the or learn to know. I mean, some names I'm still a little slow with. I mean, but it's nice to see people every Sunday, and
Totally,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Everyone was just so welcoming.
Cool.
That you could tell they really went out of their way just to make you feel welcome.
Yeah.
And, start a conversation with you. And, it was not what I had expected, I guess.
Okay.
From other churches that I had been to.
Sure.
And it was surprising. And
yeah.
So we knew that was a great fit for us.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Cause, and I love that because it is almost a surprising congregation or combination rather, right? It's surprising that you head out into that rural area and it's a small group, and then suddenly it's just this really warm and welcoming community. Cause you're right. It's not always how it is, right?
Right.
When you walk out and the only neighbors of the church building are a bunch of geese down the road and the cows in the pasture beyond it, right? You kind of start to think about what this community is going to be like, but they really do break the mold in so many ways. That's really cool. So over the years then, right, if it's been about 10 years now, what is it that keeps you coming back to the congregation? What is it that makes you want to keep coming here as a family and being a part of this community for 10 years?
I just enjoy the people. I enjoy the company. I enjoy helping out. I really enjoy them.
Cool. Very cool.
It's for such a small church. I think that, we're proud of how active the church is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of very, larger churches that are not near as active as we are in the community.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that is just, really important. And there again, you just become a family there. You really feel like this is a second family, and, you just enjoy that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's another, again, the ways in which this community continues to surprise me. And as you said, it makes me proud too, is when you look at our worship attendance size, right? About 74 people on average, like, holy crap, we're just doing a ton, just bursting at the seams when it comes to activity in proportion to that size. It's just remarkable. And it's been really cool watching even during this time when we can't necessarily be together, like those gears keep turning still, right? We still do have folks who want to be making those connections and serving our community, even when we can't physically be together in that which centers us in the first place. There's still this desire to stay active and stay relevant and stay engaged. That's very cool.
And Dylan loves it. And of course, we love you. We just love having you as a pastor.
I love that Dylan loves worship. And this congregation is blessed by your presence. What I love, one of my first 2 Sundays there, Dylan was helping Dave Baker up in the back at the balcony, right? And I don't even remember if he was actually acolyte that day, but man, he had the robe on, right? And I love it when he puts the earpiece in. That makes it official. Dylan's on the clock when he has the earpiece in at worship, right? And then I think it was right after I got everything moved into my office, about like 3 Sundays into my call at United in Christ, when suddenly there appeared a sign on the door in the Sunday school rooms in the back hallway that said Dylan's office, and then immediately below it said no smoking. So I was very glad to see we had some very good health conscious choices happening.
Yes.
It's tough to imagine how we would operate without Dylan. Really, it would be tough to imagine.
Dylan likes to have a job. And he likes to be important, to feel important, and he likes to have a job.
Why do you think we become pastors? I'm kidding.
And he just loves to help. He loves to help out. He likes to help out other kids, and he just,
Absolutely.
he was really big into like being the church security, as we would say. And he'll
be sitting down there as guest relations for the future. I can see it already. Yeah.
He's even made announcements.
That's so cool, isn't it? It's
time for church, and he gets everybody around.
Call and say, "Okay, it's time for church."
Listen, I'm ready for the day he comes to me and says, "I'm preaching today." I'll be like, "Okay, bud, you can have it." I'm like, "Oh, it's gonna happen eventually," and I couldn't be more excited about it. And I'm so glad that this is a place he wants to connect with, right? Because of a student his age, that's not a norm, right? But it happens for so many of our students that they want to be involved in that way. And I'm glad that this congregation equips them to do so. Because I got to say, one of the most heartwarming things for me in the past couple of years, I think it was this past year, in fact, and I think I shared this with you, and I hope you don't mind me sharing it. But at our last kids worship takeover in December, as we were getting ready for Jesus' arrival at Christmas time, we were in the midst of Advent. We had our students at the practice on that Saturday, and Dylan was very much making sure that, some of the younger kids knew where their parts were and knew how to do them, because, he's done them all at this point, so he knows how they work. But then that Sunday morning, as we're doing the prayers of intercession, I can't remember who had just said their part of the prayers, but Dylan had already finished his, and he was off to my left, and I hear student B, who had just finished their prayer, go over, and I hear Dylan whisper to him, he's like, "You did a really good job. That was really well done." I was like, that's what being a good leader's about, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not only doing things because he knows how to do them and can do them well, but he's now equipping and encouraging others to do the same. And man, if that wasn't just a cool moment, I don't know what was. So please know, I think I speak for many of us when we say we are grateful for him as well, because it's a joy and a riot all at the same time.
I don't know where he gets it from, I'll tell you. But I don't know. It must be John.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Right. Very, very cool. So where has it been then for your family? I mean, obviously you've been a family that's very much invested in this community and in so many ways you've gotten involved. But what has this community and this congregation meant for you as a family over the years? I mean, obviously there's an earnest desire to be a family in this community. But what has that meant to you? What does that look like for you over the years?
Just helping people out. And I mean, now,
Yeah. You know, we have seen the congregation come together and help so many people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, whether it's been through illness or,
Yeah.
you know, and of course, John has had his own experience with that, with the
Sure,
congregation pulled together when, you know, when he was, you know, very sick.
Yeah.
You know, not only that, but they just, I think just everybody is respectful and appreciative of everyone else, and they encourage everybody. I think, you know, we want to, you know, continue to grow in faith and grow the church, and, you know, continue with the youth. The youth worship is very important. And, you know, I mean, to me, I guess it's just really been a second family.
Yeah.
I was not raised in the church.
Okay.
So I wasn't even baptized until I was 23, I believe.
Oh, wow.
22 or 23. Now I had gone to church a couple times, like with girlfriends, if I spent the night at their house, then, you know, go to church. But I wasn't raised in the church. So for me, it has just really changed my life, you know, spiritually.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. It's hard to explain.
it is.
Absolutely. But I think it's important for folks to hear that because, I mean, let's be honest, so many of our folks were born and raised, baptized and raised in the church. And so for many of them, there's beauty in the routine of that, but it never had to like think about that critically or make the choice to want to go to church, right? We half jokingly, so many of our folks have said, well, it just never was a choice for us growing up. We just had to go to church, right? But over the years, we've found meaning in doing so. But to have that as your starting place of not having that routine as part of your week to week and your day to day, that's very interesting. So I'm glad that you were able to find that in this community, right? And be nurtured and fulfilled in that way, to be able to be met by God in the midst of God's people. It's a really powerful thing, and I don't think we give enough credence to that sometimes. Because if you don't know what it's like to not have that, then you don't know what you've got, right?
Right.
It's a really powerful thing. That's very cool. That's very, very cool. So as you think about the future and as you think about God's continued presence and movement among this community, what are your hopes and dreams? What do you want to see God unleash among this community? Where would you love to see the Spirit move among God's people here? I know this is the big question. I know this is the stumper. So,
I mean, the congregation's it's growing, and I just hope, you know, we just keep doing what we're doing as far as helping out the community and having people step up because there's people that are, you know, ready to move on and do other things. And
yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, getting, trying to get, we've been video bombed. Just trying to get people involved.
Yeah.
More people within the congregation involved, and you know, just so we can continue to grow.
Totally.
And, you know, to provide more support, whether it be in the community or within the congregation itself.
Yeah, I mean, I served council for 6 years, and you learn what it takes to run it, and you appreciate the volunteers
for
and the
sure,
work.
Right?
I mean, you see it.
Oh yeah. That's why I will.
I think everybody should serve on council.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I advocate for that. Everybody should take at least a term just to see, right? And now I'm so glad that Jen is taking that term for us, because it's been a real gift for our leadership. I know that much at least. That's very cool. Very cool. So I didn't prep you with this question, but I gotta ask. So in the midst of these stay-at-home and quarantine days, Jen, you are at a fascinating intersection of what I think is causing so many people a lot of learning curves. Not only do you work in public health, but you also teach, and you have a student who is at home learning all at the same time. So, Jen, do you have any pro tips for the folks who are listening at home? Anything that they need to know to get there?
Well, I think probably the most challenging thing that I'm doing right now is teaching at home.
Yeah.
Just because, more so with Dylan,
Sure.
just because this is such a new experience for, his teachers.
Yeah.
And, so and getting him motivated at home, so it's real easy for him to be like, I don't want to do that right now.
Yes,
and so
yes.
keeping him focused and staying motivated is probably the most challenging thing
Yeah.
right now.
And the teaching techniques are a little different
Yeah.
today than they were when we were in school.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a little different.
No more of that long division, huh?
And
Yeah.
to me, that's easy.
Right.
Yeah. But, I've been to teaching online, and so that's
Okay.
not, I'm fortunate that, a
Sure.
lot of the undergrad nursing faculty,
Oh, yeah.
are not used to teaching online. So
Right.
more of a niche, for other faculty, but definitely the elementary school teaching is really the one that's getting me.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a big
Yeah.
way, huh? Oh my. Well, very good. Well, thank you for sharing that, and at least hopefully lets folks know, hey, nobody's alone in this, right? We've all
Right.
got these
Right.
learning curves, and boy howdy, they are some seemingly insurmountable obstacles some days, no doubt.
Yeah.
But keep up the good work. Thank you. I always give everyone a last chance. So, Jen and John, is there anything you'd like to share with the congregation? Any other I don't know, Schaefer pearls of wisdom? Any questions that I didn't ask that you would have preferred to answer? Anything you want to send to the folks who are listening at home?
Just that we miss them.
Yeah.
I miss them.
Yeah.
I mean,
We miss everybody. It's
Yeah.
definitely different, but we are so glad that we are at least able to have worship online. And,
Absolutely.
it's working out. It's different,
It
but I
is.
think it's working out well.
I hope so. I hope so for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely different.
And I think it's great that, it gives the opportunity for so many other people to get involved in
Yeah. That's
the worship service. And
Yeah, that's been a really cool thing, is seeing how we've kind of become a hub of many communities in the midst of this, gathering around worship together. So we'll see what of this we can live into when this is all done.
Right. Anything else?
no, unless you got something.
I don't think I do.
All right, well, cool. Thank you. Unless is Dylan hanging out in the wings? Does he need to get
No,
Dylan's
he
last
left.
word in?
He's back in his bedroom.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, then, thank you. Thank
right,
you so
thank
much
you.
for taking this time today. This was really great, and I'm sure it'll be great for folks to hear from you. So thank you.
All right.
And to everyone else at home, God's continued peace and blessings in the days ahead. Stay safe, stay healthy wherever you're at, and we'll look forward to being together sooner, hopefully, rather than later. Bye for
All
now.
right. God bless you.
Okay.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.